Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We have a full show today, so we're going to give you some mid-major HBCU updates. Obviously, we released the HBCU mid-major football poll rankings today. Excited to see what that looks like. But let me say welcome to episode 521 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share information, HBCU culture, HBCU athletic states, facilitate the story of HBCU athletic program and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-hosts, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer. I'm actually on the road in the Austin area, Round Rock to be specific, doing some grant work. So we're excited about that opportunity as we continue to develop the educational programs at Texas Southern University. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board. Looks like we're buffering a little bit, so we'll see if we can get everybody in here and get that cleared up. Wi-Fi does that to us when you're a hotel on the road like that. Let me see. How's it coming in now?
Still a little grainy, but we gonna survive, Dr. Cavil. It's not our first rodeo.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see in terms of the break, the Wilton Wi-Fi, see if it does us any better. But with that being said, I want to also welcome in the Wilton Jackson as well as AD Drew. Let's get right into it. Some of the HBCU news of the day. I'll start it off with some of the challenging news that's coming around the landscape in terms of 20 suspended in the altercations, fights, if you would, between SIAC things. We don't have to belabor the point. It included some coaches, not only players. Not good, but it happens at times in terms of Central State, Fort Valley State. But with that being said, we'll move on and get into some other news of the day. I'm going to start with Charles Bishop. Charles, what's on your mind?
Oh, sure thing. Let's take a look at the SIC players of the week for their performance this past week as Miles Scott from Morehouse, Stephen Rouser from Morehouse, Nanders Lawrence from Allen, and John McCall from Kentucky State were all recognized. We'll take a look at the offensive player of the week in Miles Scott from Morehouse. Scott in the 27-20 win over Tuskegee completed 22 of 35 passes with 326 yards and 4 touchdowns versus 1 interception. Also added 41 rushing yards on 7 carries, and AD told us this before we started, accounted for every positive yard of the offense for the Maroon Tigers this past weekend. So shouts out to Miles Scott.
That's big time.
Weekend. Big time.
Big time. Heck of a weekend. Shout out to,
yes,
to the Maroon Tiger. They're getting it done. But that being said, let me go to Mike Washington. What's on your mind?
Man,
I'll let you jump back in there, Drew, to give an update what Charles said. But go ahead, Mike.
Man, I'm on the road just like you are, man. So hopefully my hotel situation stays straight. But since Charles, you covered the SIAC, I'll touch a little bit on the CIAA. So quarterback Christopher Perkins went for Elizabeth City. Christopher Perkins powered Elizabeth City State to its first win of the season. Got it for 84% of the team's 400 total yards. So AD Drew, remember that stat you shared with me? So there's the 84% of the offense as they went to a 39-27 victory over Livingstone. Offensive back Curtis Allen from Virginia Union. Curtis Allen posted his second straight, not 100-yard, but 200-yard rushing performance, carrying 34 times for 249 yards, and not one, not two, not three, but four touchdowns. His dominant effort held Virginia Union to their 44-34 road victory. Receiver Jahari Mitchell from Winston-Salem State. So against Virginia Union, Mitchell delivered a outstanding performance. 5 grabs for 152 yards, 3 touchdowns. So it showcased his ability. He also had a 36-yard grab and snub. So he broke free, scored a touchdown, reached pay dirt. And we got the offensive and defensive linemen getting into it. We got Christian Solomon from Virginia Union. This is just a Virginia Union and Virginia State kind of week, as you picked up the theme. Miles Solomon had a dominant performance. He paved the way for 551 yards of total offense behind the big guy in their win. And then on the defensive side, Cameron Davis, Virginia State. Cameron Davis anchored that defense with a standout performance that showcased a dynamic performance, but topped by 13 tackles, including 1.5 for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. So nice job for there. And last but not least, linebacker Vincent Hill from Johnson C. Smith turned in a strong performance, 10 tackles, 4 solos, 6 assisted, and was a disruptive force in their game for sure. So I think I have one more that I'll cover. I'll pass on special teams. John Hernandez Vargas from Fayetteville State was a standout special teams and Fayetteville State's win over Bowie on October 4th, using our consistency, of course, all of the great fluffy words. But he had 7 kickoffs for 414 yards and a 59, an average of 59.1213 yards per kick return. So great job for Mr. Hernandez Vargas.
I like where he rolled those little R's pretty good, Mike. I know your trips down to Mexico working out.
My Spanish and Portuguese tutor, they would be impressed. I wish they could have heard this tonight. So
yeah, we have to send it to him. All right, Drew. I know you wanted to not only give you HBCU news of the day, but you also wanted to comment on some other news.
I'm gonna leave my time for the HBCUs. I'm gonna yield that to Wilton, but I do want to add to what Charles had mentioned, and I need to put this in a little bit of perspective about the Morehouse selection for players of the week. For the first time since 2012, and we don't talk Morehouse football too often, not only on this space but in any space. So I am going to take my moment with the mic to talk Morehouse football. So for the first time since 2012, Morehouse has 2 simultaneous players of the week in the same week. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, for the stat nerds, Mike Washington, Miles Scott total 362 yards of offense. That was 326 passing. 367 yards of offense. 326 passing, 41 yards on the ground. As a team, Morehouse gained 362 yards of offense. Last time I checked, 367 was more than 362. So individually, he accounted for 101% of Morehouse's offense. How's that mathematically possible? I don't know, but we damn so just did it. And I've been asking everybody who I know who's been around football a lot longer than I have you ever seen a single individual account for more total yards of offense than the team has? I have yet to find someone who can do that. I'm not saying it's never happened, but I just haven't found anybody who can give me an occurrence of when that has happened.
It's pretty big, and it works out like that in the college game uniquely, where you take in the sacks and loss of yardage. So, but it's a fascinating point, and one for the record book. Somebody's going to get that on a Morehouse trivia, and they're going to win a lot of money. So they need to thank you, Drew. With that being said, exactly.
Chief, you wrong for that.
It's all good. That's what happens when you walk into class a little fresh because you moving around trying to make sure you get things done. And it's the privilege adjuncts to just stay with the course as they like to see it. With that being said, let me move on to Wilton Jackson II. Let's see what he wants to put on the table.
So, Doc, I'm going to talk about the SWAC Football Weekly Awards. The SWAC tab, Jackson State's Jacobian Morgan and Quincy Ivory. Alabama State's Deshaun Sims and Carl Legion, along with Texas Southern's Christian Abelard for SWAC Football Weekly Awards. Morgan completed 70% of his passes on the night for 314 yards. He finished 21 for 30 for 4 touchdowns and was not sacked on the night. Defensively, Sims recorded 8 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, a fumble recovery, and a pass breakup in Alabama State's win over Bethune-Cookman. His fumble recovery set up an ASU touchdown in the second quarter. From a special teams standpoint, Avallard went 3 for 3 on field goals as he connected on distances of 44, 39, and 18 yards during Texas Southern's win against Arkansas Pine Bluff. As far as co-newcomer of the week, Legion rushed for 59 yards on 6 carries and 2 touchdowns against BCU. His 2-yard second quarter scoring run gave Alabama State a 24-7 lead, and his 2-yard third quarter touchdown put Alabama State up 38-14. And then Ivory finished the game with 10 tackles, including a tackle for a loss during Jackson State's win against Alabama A&M.
Good stuff. I see the folks up here fired up with the Bethune-Cookman statement and talking about not using name, image, and likeness. I hope they trademark and register all that, talking that Noah. Because a lot of us don't understand the process of name, image, and likeness in terms of trademark, in terms of brand names, which it should be done. But you're talking about institutions that should have done a lot of things that they haven't done. So be careful how you put your neck out there and name out there, and you're not doing the appropriate business. With that being said, good information, Wilton. Shout out to the SWAC Players of the Week. Charles, you mind doing us the justice since Wilton put out the SWAC? You got the MEAC. Can you put out MEAC? Has they released their honors of the week?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. As we look at the MEAC honors, let me pull it right back up here. As we take a look at the MEAC honors, South Carolina State's wide receiver.
While you're doing that, I'll add on my comment because I did put this out there in terms of Bethune-Cookman talking about it's an academic enterprise. I'm not sure. This is from a dean's perspective, and I'm going to be real cognizant of this. So I like people when they talk about higher education to really understand the framework. Besides the point they were trying to make, but when you talk about the academic side of the house, it means you need to make sure you understand your graduation rates, your persistence, matriculation, and academically, if you're talking about, are you talking about all the professors being in that, being tenure track? And that means doing the 3-year review, 5th year going up for tenure. So there's a lot when you talk about academic in the academy, what that really means in terms of the academic side under the provost and the deans of your college. And as a professor, we take that extremely serious. So I'm going to put that point on it right there, just so folks understand when we talk about the academic enterprise, what that really means. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, South Carolina State's wide receiver Darius Thompson has been named the MEAC Offensive Player of the Week. The league announced Morgan State's Eric Hunter earned Defensive Player of the Week honors, while Morgan State's Justin Perry was selected as the Rookie of the Week. And South Carolina State's Roger Smith, he received the Offensive Lineman of the Week accolades. And Morgan State's Rasheem Duncan, he was recognized as the Specialist of the Week over there in the MEAC.
Congratulations to the MEAC folks. So we gave you a little bit of CIAA for the mid-major. And some love for the major division with the SWAC and the MEAC. Good stuff. Independence, get your weight up. You got some work to do. With that being said, let's take our first break.
Like you talking about some dealers. Get your weight up. We're gonna get you in prime time. Get your weight up.
Exactly. Let's take our first break and come back on the other side, but might get me in trouble.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Williams, a defensive lineman, and I am a proud member of Jackson State University Tigers football team. Me and my team are visiting Las Vegas, Nevada for the HBCU Las Vegas Classic. We would love to dine at Chick-fil-A located at 9830 West Flamingo Road. I encourage you to do the same for great food, fantastic dining experience. The owner and operator, Ron Peterson, a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, will be excited to have you as a guest. Go Tigers, go Swag, and eat more chicken.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Then these folks got the band directors that used to be the former band directors of their own institution doing the job. Killing your own people. Make it make sense. I just gotta keep it real. Now, if you come out there and you make some sense, I'm with you. But these are the folks that you tell us to celebrate in terms of the HBCU world. They're judging your contest and telling you where you might not be as strong as you supposed to be. And all of a sudden now, band is not a marching sport. Now, which culture you gonna be? Now, one time it was the band marching sport and it's all that, and we supposed to be in there competition. Now you just talking about you want to be the musical components of just us going to a Broadway show. Is that what this is? Anyway, let's get into some of these matchups where it really gets fun. Y'all don't want me to get down with these
Bring it.
They wrote a journal article since they published any paper. No presentations, talking about the academic enterprise. Hadn't did any research, grant operation. Man, better talk to somebody about this academic enterprise as we going dealing with this federal grant money. Keep it up if you want to.
Let's get into a little flight of the bumblebee. Hit him with a little flight of the bumblebee.
Not the flight of the bumblebee. Oh, they gonna be mad at you for real, Mike. You told them the flight of the bumblebee. Drew, man, folks gonna be mad. See Charles over there quiet. He know he get all the texts. He ain't saying well, call jump in here so they get a little picture.
Oh yeah, I spoke my piece. I didn't like it. I didn't like it whatsoever. So I'll be beat up this homecoming for speaking my piece on it because I got a frat.
You got some line brothers.
Yeah, I got line brothers of the Boomers. So I let them know that.
Tell them to come see me.
Not happy.
Tell them to come see me. We bring them on the show. We bring them on the phone when they were talking about it as a marching sport. Now they're gonna talk about it. Jazz ensemble.
It's not a marching sport.
It can't be a sport unless you compete.
Well, they ain't competing. I told you they want to march or something. We're going to the recital. They're gonna play some music. I guess they want us to quietly and applaud real nicely too. That's nice.
Where's that track from Drumline? Man, hit it with a little bumblebee.
We would play it. We would play it, but they hit us on
YouTube.
They mark it. It was like, man, we were just playing. All right, let's get into these matchups.
Hey, Doc,
Benedict.
last thing.
I hear
You know,
tell
when we start rolling our instruments onto the field instead of taking them out onto the field, then we know we have totally regressed.
You're right. Absolutely right. Let's go with that. Benedict score 38-28. Benedict over Allen. They keep running up and getting it done. They improved to 5-0, 4-0 on the season. Well, let me say this is week 4 matchups. Top 7. Let's see who of these teams stay in the top 7. See if we have any changes. Getting into the number 1 ranked team, Benedict, and their matchup against Allen as they got things going last week. They defeated Allen 38-28 as they continue to get stuff done. Allen falls to 2-4, 2-2 on the season. Let's get to the number 2 team, Edward Waters. They had an open date. They did not play. They get back into action this week, so it'll be interesting to see what they're doing. They stay at 4-1 and 3-0 on the season. Moving us to number 3, big time matchup here. It was a top 10 matchup. Virginia Union has, since that loss, they went on the road to what is now the number 2 team, Edward Waters. They've won a couple of games in the CIAA, and they're playing some good football. They improved to 4-1, 2-0, dropping Winston-Salem State to 3-3, 1-2. So we know Stephen A. Gaither is not happy about that. 44-34 in terms of those matchups. Let's get into our next game on here is number 4, I believe, which is Johnson C. Smith. They have rebounded pretty well. Since that loss to Virginia Union, they have improved to 5-1, 2-1 in the race. Virginia State had got that victory during that same weekend when Virginia Union took down Johnson C. Smith. Has slid a bit. They are 2-3 on the season, 1-2, 33-20 was the loss to Johnson C. Smith. Fascinating to see, can Virginia State rebound and get things going along with the Winston-Salem State Rams. Moving to number 5 on the rankings. When you talk about Albany State Golden Rams, they're rolling 4-1, 3-0 in conference play and really good. They do what you're supposed to do to a winless team. They beat them up and beat them up pretty bad. They defeat Lane Dragons that are 0-5, 0-3 as they fall to 0-3 on the season. 7-6 was the final score of that contest. Moving right along in terms of our next matchup, going down the list is number 6. When you're talking the Livingston Blue Bears, there's a little bit of upset here in this. Didn't see this one coming for me. The Elizabeth City Vikings, to their credit, got first win on the season. They improved to 1-4, 1-1 in the conference race. Number 6, Livingston Blue Bears fall to 3-2, 2-1. The score of that contest was 39-27 in terms of the rankings there. West Virginia State was another team as we get to number 7. The Yellow Jackets, they fall. This is another game where you would call it an upset in terms of the conference ranking as the Yellow Jackets continue to get things done, not in the fashions. We'll see what that one is as we move it along in terms of that matchup there with them moving forward. With that being said, those are our matchups there in terms of that contest. Yellow Jackets fall to 4-7. That's West Virginia getting it taken to the woodshed as they fall to 1-3, 47-41 in that matchup. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7 scores this past week?
I think I was looking for Fayetteville State in there somewhere. I know they're 3-3 on the season with 3-0 in conference play. So I was looking to see where the Broncos were within the top 7 because I think they are a top 7 team when we take a look at sort of week to week sort of standings.
Yeah, we'll see. That was just the top 7 scores. We'll release the top 7 in the last weekend, and because of their victory, don't be surprised if they're in that ranking as you moved on to. Mike, your thoughts in terms of those top 7 teams and the scores that took place this past weekend?
Really don't surprise. There is one I'd like to highlight, and I saw it come across the screen. They're not in the top 7. I know that's what you wanted, but did I see that correct? 70 years. Bluefield. 70 years. Now, they beat, what was that? Who did they beat? Shaw. I don't know if this is an indication on Shaw, which used to be that team, but they basically had a win, their first win in 71 years. Their first, except the CIAA. Drew, I know you probably got more history on this than me, but that 70 is still in my mind. Now, they left football for about 3 or 4 decades, but still, 70 years. They now posting a CIAA win over Shaw, which, God, it could play football at some point because they used to be a top. So, no, I don't have any concerns or really big surprises, what you said, at least this week, but that stuck out to me. I know it's not a top 7, but man, 70 years. Bluefield, West Virginia.
Wilton, in terms of those top 7 scores that took place this week, any score of the top 7 stood out to you?
Yeah, I actually have 2 games I kind of want to mention. I was very shocked that Livingstone lost to Elizabeth City State. That's not one that I actually saw coming. I know there had been some rumblings about, Elizabeth City State potentially, striking an upset, at some point throughout the season. But I didn't think it was going to come against Livingstone. I think the game that I kind of had on my radar that I was watching was to see how Coach Flowers was going to get Johnson C. Smith to go up against, obviously with going up against Virginia State and Coach Frazier and what that game was going to look like. So I was glad to see that Johnson C. Smith pulled out the victory because I felt like this was a strong test for them.
I think you made excellent points. I had the same thoughts when I saw the score. I was like, ooh, what happened? That kind of shook me a little bit there. Going to you, Drew. In terms of the top 7 scores, anything stood out to you?
I'm just a step off script. I got to leave the top 7 alone. Nothing really shocked me, but I've got to take a point of personal privilege and talk about my alma mater, my second alma mater, who we put BTA on this past Saturday. It took 100 years for Tuskegee to get lights and to turn lights on in Cleve Abbott Memorial Alumni Bowl.
Yes.
And since the lights have came on in Alumni Bowl, the lights have gone out on the season. Tuskegee has not won a game since they flipped that light switch against Central State and turned the lights on in the stadium. I just have to point that out to everybody out there. So,
that's
you need to go back to day football, Tuskegee. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Your takeaways: 100 years, lights in the stadium, and now they're getting thrashed. And then 70 years, and they finally get a CIAA win. Boy, me and Drew both off script.
I think they're excellent points. You're not too off the line today. But that being said, let's take our second break. Come back on the other side. We're going to get into the top 7 to see if Fayetteville State that Charles spoke about, did they jump in the top 7? See if he's still going to be mad or not after this break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones.
HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU. College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, AD Drew, and Wilton Jackson II, giving you updates in episode 721. For the mid-major division, it's time to provide the rankings, if you would, for the mid-major institutions. Let's see what that looks like in terms.
Dr.
Yes.
Before we go, can you answer this question quickly for Emmett?
What did he say? AD Drew, is Bluefield State University only predominantly white HBCU, and are the administrators primarily white or black? I don't know about the administrators. You also have to look at West Virginia State University. Both of them in West Virginia, where they have large populations, significant populations, where they actually outnumber what we would refer to as black or African American students. Another one that is similar to that is Lincoln University. So there's a couple of HBCUs that have the designation of historically black college universities that no longer have a population that mirrors that nomenclature. And remember, the nomenclature for HBCUs, unlike Chicago State, what a lot of folks refer to in terms of the vernacular of HBCU when it's really predominantly black institution, similar to what you may hear when people talk about Hispanic serving institution. But from that perspective, when you think about HBCUs, it's a designation for institutions that receive the federal legislation in terms of who they serve, never the only people to serve, but who they were created to serve from that framework. So excellent question.
Moral Land Grant Act.
Correct. In terms
The
of
moral, phase one and phase two of the Moral Land Grant Act really is what designated a lot of the HBCUs because of their funding. So,
right, which is a federal designation,
correct,
not just a cultural designation that we use now to talk about the framework of it. So I'm glad that you asked that question and saw some clarity. Excellent point in terms of what that looks like. Getting into the top 7 unveiled, let's look at the team that dropped out. We jumped in the poll last week and they jumped right out this week. Y'all said this as much. I thought they'd stay for at least 2 weeks, maybe even 3 when you looked at the schedule, but they couldn't handle the success. The West Virginia State, the Yellow Jackets, they fall out. They're still at 3-2 and 2-1, having a solid season. Even winning in the conference race, but they drop out this week in week number 5. Let's see who's receiving votes. Sorry, Charles. Didn't make it into top 7. Your Fayetteville State Broncos, but they're right on the cusp. So we are understanding that they are doing well. They are getting it done where it counts in terms of conference play. 3-3, maybe additional win and some losses on the other side will challenge that. West Virginia State, while they're dropping out of the top 7, they still are receiving points. 3-2 in votes, if you would. 2-1 in terms of what they look overall. And then you have the Winston-Salem State Rams, even with their tough loss, for the last couple of weeks. They find a way to stay right in the margin. Be interesting to see how they close out things. They're 3-3 overall, 1-2 on the season. So let's get in let's look at the top 7 into those teams that are finding their way in the top 7 poll. With that being said, let's go just like that. Let's go with number 7. Number 7 is the Livingston Blue Bears. We talked about the tough loss they had. They fallen 3-2, 2-1, 3-1 on the season. They were previously at 6, so they do fall a spot after that loss, but they're in the mix this week at number 7. Let's go to number 6, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. Charles talked about it a little bit. They continue to win, so they found their way not only continue to win, but they found their way in the top 7. They're at number 6. They improved to 4-2 overall, and 4-1. 156 points, not ranked. We get a little different indication when we think mid-major division. This is the Kentucky State that all but had a win against Grambling until they didn't have a win. But it gave you some indication that how talented this team is. They're in the race. It'll be interesting to see down the stretch how much can they make it count. Moving on, we're going to stay in the SIAC. As we move to number 5, it is Albany State Golden Rams that are really playing some football, good football, with their 4-1. For if you take a half of a game, you really would think twice about the Golden Rams. But you got to play a full football game. They stepped up in competition, went on the road to Tallahassee. Couldn't quite get the win. But in terms of what they're doing in the SIAC, they're getting it done as they are 3-0, 160 points. They stay at number 5 because a lot of teams above them continue to win as well, meaning let's look at number 4. Number 4 is the Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. Bulls are 5-1 overall, 2-1 on the season, 165 points. They do not move this week, though. They stay at number 4. Let's get into the top 3 and see where it really gets good. At number 3, we have last year's champs, the Virginia Union Panthers, that rebounded after a loss to Edward Waters. They continue to win and get it done in the CIAA as they improve to 4-1, 2-0. They have 3 first-place votes, 203 points, but they remain in the 3rd position, which means who is number 2? Number 2 on the season, out of the SIAC, Edward Water Tigers, 4-1 overall, 3-0. Did not play last week, but they did not get hurt by that. They stay in the 2 spot. They have 2 first-place votes, 204 points, and they stay, as I said, right there at number 2. Bringing us to number 1, the Benedict Tigers, 5-0 on the season. Benedict Tigers, in terms of what they've done on the season, but more importantly, continue to win. With that being said, the Benedict Tigers now have stayed at the number 1 spot for the 3rd. So to be a contest, they kind of went back and forth, but they pulled it out late to not only take the lead, but give them a little room in their contest as they improved to 5-0 overall, 4-0 in the conference race. Really in a good position as they go down the stretch. We'll see what that means. 3 first-place votes, 205 points. Number 1, I'm going to go to Drew first, our mid-major expert in a lot of ways. I'm going to let him shine a little bit and ask him what does he think about the top 7 in week number 5.
It's ironic that you mentioned week 5 because I'm going to talk about your top 5. And I am going to tell you that your top 5 is out of whack. The SIAC,
you talk about give me 5 a little bit.
Jay's give me 5. This is Drew's give me 5. The SIAC should own the top 3. There you go. SIAC should own the top 3 spots.
Ooh.
Benedict, undefeated overall and in conference. We leave them at number 1. Although I personally think Albany State is the better of the next 2 SIAC teams between them and Edward Waters, I have to put Edward Waters at the number 2 spot just based on their strength of schedule because Edward Waters has defeated who right now in your poll is a number 3 team. So although I would put Albany State 2, I could go with putting Edward Waters 2, Albany State 3. Why do I drop the CIAA teams? Because all those teams that I mentioned only have one loss. Because the 2 SIAC teams, one loss, are to FCS teams, while Virginia Union and Johnson C. Smith's losses are to Division II teams. And I'm sorry, last time I checked it, an FCS loss in my book is going to weigh more than a Division II loss when you go through and figure out your rankings. Kentucky State, hey, one of the hottest teams in the SIAC and in black college football at this level. Livingstone, I talk a lot of trash about them, but they're right where they should be right now. How long can Livingstone stay in here? This what, about 3-4 weeks in a row? I think that might be a Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab record as far as the polling goes.
Yeah, right.
You know, and one last thing, gotta take one more shot at Tuskegee. You got another week that you have to wait before you can see if you can turn the lights back on, because you're on a bye this week, Tuskegee. So just had to get that last shot in.
Good shot. I really like what you had to say about the top 5. And I'll even give you a little more to support your framework. SIAC did defeat CIAA 4-3 this year, so they have the edge. So the football business is back in the SIAC. Shout out to Dr. Holloman, commissioner of the SIAC, because he wears that proudly. And they're putting in some work. It'll be interesting to see as it goes down the stretch. We've seen some of the top teams fight it out with the CIAA, so we'll see if that changes out as they get on the road. I think you make a lot of points, again, week to week, so there's some arguments there. But I always see the framework and the formula in this ranking talks about in terms of a team, whether they're not playing or do they continue to win. So sometimes it's harder to jump some teams. I will kind to get this opportunity that I'm working to add some components to this where we'll start looking at the matchups going down the stretch and see if we can get some algorithms to talk about who should win games. Thinking about Kyle Mosley and what he brought to the table last week in terms of the major division. We're in conversations to create a partnership, talking about what that would look like at the major division and mid-major division. So as this team, as we release major division polls on Sunday, major division polls on mid-major division polls on Tuesday, I should say. When we get to the contest breakdown, we will look likely add that component to it. So I'm excited. A little early in that, we got to finish off our negotiations, I guess, in terms of what that looks like to get that done. But I think, Drew, you made a good point, so I wanted to bring it to the table. With that, let me not steal the other gentleman's thunder. Let they get in there, and I'm going to go to Wilton Jackson II to see what he has to say about the top 7 and see does he agree with Drew or does he go in a different direction.
So, Doc, when I look at the top 7, specifically top 1, 2, and 3, Benedict obviously is the number 1 team for me. I know last week we debated about Edward Waters and Virginia Union, being at 2 and 3, even though Edward Waters has beaten Virginia Union, that close win against Morehouse had, had some of our head, we were scratching
Have
some
you
of our
changed your mind, such as Drew, or
number 1 pass at offense at the SIAC?
I'm gonna let him. One thing about this list that I can appreciate is week to week. It ain't the rest of the season, so I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
I like it.
It's a lot more.
You don't always have an invitation to this show.
It's a lot more games to be played. That's why that's the good thing that I love. A lot more games.
Come on, man. Don't do that to get acceptance. Teacher's pet. Whatever.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man. Hey, so number 3, Virginia Union is good with me. Johnson C. Smith, Albany State, I'm good there. The only thing that kind of questioned this list is the Livingstone. I actually didn't have them in my top 7. I had them outside looking in. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I had Fayetteville State kind of sneaking into this top 7.
I can see that. Wilton.
I'm with you, Charles.
Usually I jump on you, but I think you make a good point. I can see it. They're close. So I think you make that argument. I'm with you.
We need to take a moment to pause while Wilton goes outside and claps the erasers for the professor.
Exactly. You want to clean Doc's desk for him too? I mean, seriously.
I'm gonna make Big Mike wait. Over his speed, Brandon. Charles Bishop. Let Mike think about it a minute.
You know, AD brings up an interesting premise because I wanted to get Albany State up there a little higher, but you know, I'm sure that'll happen. I know that they're a quality football team. I think you know Livingstone might get their come up this upcoming week because guess where they go to? They go to Fayetteville State. So you know the argument will get settled at some point this week.
I like it. That's how you do preemptive and talk about the poet at the same time, giving a little hint on what's to come. I like that, Charles. Good job, man. You're doing well in the class, as they say. Mike, well, the student that sets the curve but gets the F squared because he doesn't know how to act.
F in conduct, A in the classroom.
That's right. That was my story.
He sits up in the class talking about that history. That's the young man in the class whose parents tell him all the history, talking about they lied to you. They lied to you. He sits up in the class talking, that ain't true. That ain't true history. That ain't what I was taught at home. Y'all lying to these students. The person be like, you can't do that.
Damn Skippy. So I'm gonna agree in agreement with AD Drew. If you look at strength of schedule, I agree with him on the top 3 or 4. I do agree. You can't argue with Benedict. You can't argue with Edwards. But in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that'll be settled between those 3 or 4. What I would have, and I want to jump on that point of Livingstone. Now, you said last week, week to week, right? Week to week, right? Did Livingstone win or lose?
They lost.
Did Fayetteville State, did they win or lose?
They won.
Here's another data point. Their strength of schedule, they played Benedict and lost by 10 points. Benedict's average margin of victory has been just under 20 points. Yes. They held Benedict. They lost to 10 points. You can say what you want to, but if you go by your premise, Fayetteville State should be there in Livingston on that premise alone. Then you go into statistics and you look at who's averaging more offensive yards, more defensive stops, data points. Hello. You got Fayetteville State right there replacing Livingstone. That's my point. So in addition to all of that stuff that Drew said, he is the D2 expert, but I just did an eyeball, and you go on strength of schedule. Yeah, SIAC, yeah, they remember they can play football, at least to this point. So those are my issues. How you like that, Doc?
I like it. I like it, honestly. Good things don't last forever. I know the last couple of weeks, you know, I was on the great side with, you know, all the folks saying good poll. I knew it was going to last forever. So I'll let you all win this week in terms of your analysis of the poll rankings. And honestly, you know, I'm going to bring it. You all made excellent points. You know, it's one thing when I can jump back in and be like, you need to work at it. But you all did the work, analyzed, put in data points, put in week to week, did other type of framings. You stated your case, and I must admit, great job. Kudos. So let's take a last break, because I don't want that to be up there too long with everybody hearing it, because it's time to turn the page. We're going to go to the last segment and talk about these matchups to see if y'all can continue to get it right in terms of what will take place next week. Be right back after this last break.
I'm going to twist us up now. Watch.
Exactly.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Hello, my name is Jacoby Morgan, a quarterback, and I'm a proud member of the Jackson State University Tigers football team. When I and my team are visiting Las Vegas, Nevada for the HBCU Las Vegas Classic, we would love to dine at Chick-fil-A located at 9830 West Flamingo Road. I encourage you to do the same for great food and fantastic dining experience. The owner and operator, Ron Peterson, a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, will be excited to have you as a guest. Go Tigers, go SWAC, and eat more chicken.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Man, Dr. Cavil, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Shout out to Ron Peterson, get it done.
Ron Peterson.
Balls? I say this about Jacoby and Morgan. He earning that NIL.
He is that.
Boy, you know, I noticed the mid-major division, and we'll focus on that. But I got to give a little love to this matchup, 1 versus 2 in the rankings at the major division level. Number 2 going on the road to number 1. You broke down the history when you talk about this going back. Coach Alabama State left Jackson State, coordinator going over there. Alabama State, it going back and forth. Recent history with Alabama State going in to Jackson State, winning on homecoming. You go back with Prime going down there to Eddie Robb. I mean, a terminology that has been asphyxiated. He ain't SWAC. You got the whole conference. HBCU started putting that on shirts, literally maroon outs. You got patches. In terms of I am SWAC, some versions of that. So this is a quintessential matchup, and I hope people don't miss it. Shout out to Brian and AD as they were talking about this matchup. And the question came up in terms, obviously, the game of the week, maybe game of the year. So I floated out there the game of the decade. I'm just not saying it is. I mean, it needs to be played. Obviously, you got the Jack State FAMU, Jack State Southern in terms of some of these key matchups. But I think it's an argument coming into it that it should be for discussion. Is this the game of the decade in terms of the conference? Obviously, that Jackson State matchup with North Carolina Central going to overtime in terms of what that has, it written all over it as a post game. But before we get in these other key matchups, and we will do our love and due diligence for mid-major because they deserve on spotlight, but I'd be remiss if I didn't put a little focus on what should be a significant game of the week. And I didn't even put the final trigger on there as Wilton Jackson II and Charles Bishop are trying to tease me into finding my way to Jackson as his homecoming. And I do need to talk to his LBs, a couple of them, men that I respect, and one that taught me about marching sport. But this is another chance for me to go in on them and make sure they understand that you can't call yourself the marching sport. You can't talk about you being the big king on the hill and you're scared out of competition. I don't understand what that looks like in the HBCU sports world. Cultural affinity. Never mind. We're a sports show, so maybe HBCU band folks don't understand the sporting contest that we talk about in this lexicon, where there's a winner and losers. When I introduced my poll, Charles, come on, so I let people do their thing. One thing we pride about is bands traveling, and we talked about the competition. And there was much respect for Jackson State and Southern as they won back-to-back years. And part of that is the fact that they got on the road and they traveled. Yeah. They put the show on the road in terms of competition because they traveled to other schools that had the band, which means there was a competition. It wasn't just about showing up to a band parade, a brand ensemble where your fans would cheer you because you do well. We talking about competition. In our culture, there's about a competition. And there's a celebration about what we do, but we go head to head. There's a winner and a loser. You shake your hands afterwards and you get better.
Indeed.
Now, if you scared of competition, tuck your tails and run.
There it is.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better.
Absolutely.
Doc,
I know two teams that won't tuck their tails and run on Saturday.
Let me pivot back.
To you get on that football team in that field and you got them bands up there playing and they're gonna be playing for them teams out there.
Yeah.
You better believe when you talk about Alabama State Hornets and the Jackson State Tigers, TC Taylor, the head coach, and them coordinators, defensive, offensive, and all them coaches out there. And Alabama State with Eddie Robb and his offensive and defensive coordinator. It's gonna be some serious football. He had a meeting. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, I will say this. This 1 versus 2 matchup, dare I say it, this has that Jackson State Southern temperature up. And in many ways, Alabama State has become that new Southern type, matchup for Jackson State because they've had success against Jackson State, especially in recent year. And then, the battles back and forth between Jackson State and Montgomery. Yep. I'm looking forward to at least 40,000 in the vet this weekend for this matchup. And that football game takes center stage over homecoming.
You talking about Southern? It reminds me of Southern FAMU matchups in the day when they used to go back. Talking about somebody gonna get embarrassed, but that's a different. They look smarter than that these days with the head coaches, but that was fun back there with Joe Taylor. Matches with.
I don't know how this game gonna turn out, but pregame hype.
Yes,
this has to be one of the top candidates for game of the decade. Now, from the results thus far, Obviously, the Celebration Bowl, Central and Jackson State is probably number one thus far as game of the decade.
I agree.
You could possibly throw in FAMU Jackson State, the first game down in the New Orange Blossom Classic in there. Right now, if this game lives up to the hype, it's gonna be up there with those type games on this level. So obviously the game still has to be played, but pre-game hype, it's up there. I just hope that the game does not disappoint one way or the other.
I agree with you. I like Emmett Jones snuck another one in on us. Them Jackson State, Tennessee State contest.
Very much so.
Yep.
I know Wilton and Charles would appreciate that, boy. Those lather you up in terms of that. But yeah, it's nothing like big time contests at the HBCU level, whether it's mid-major or major. In fact, let's get into that. Drew, pull up some of the top matchups that we have this weekend, particularly when you talk about what we just released as the top 7. Let's see what these gentlemen think as we get back to the business here. And first matchup features number 1, Fort Valley State Wildcats. They lost some players. They're struggling 1-4, 1-2. They're number 1 Benedict Tigers, 5-0, 4-0. We'll keep this kind of short and to the point. Anybody see Fort Valley getting an upset?
No. 9
No.
players out due to suspension. Be lucky if Benedict don't put a 50 piece on them.
Yeah.
Yep. Suspension got him.
I agree with you. Let's move on to the next matchup. Number 2, it's sneaky good. All of a sudden, this becomes, and that should be Kentucky State at 6 in terms of the top framing, and Edward Waters at number 2. As you see, Edward Waters come in at 4-1, 3-0. They had an extra week to prepare for Kentucky State Thoroughbreds 4-2, 2-1. This is a top 7 matchup, top 10 matchup, however you want to look at it. It's significant in terms of the conference standings. We'll give a chance to let y'all talk a little bit about that. I'm going to start with you, Drew. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'll keep it short and sweet. For Kentucky State, this is a must win. This is the elimination game for Kentucky State. With 3 teams ahead of them in the race, this being one of those 3 teams, they have to get this game in order to have a chance to make it to the conference championship game.
Mike, what does Kentucky State have to do to get it done against the Edward Water Tigers?
Defense. You're looking at Kentucky State's, they're like number 2 or number 3 in SIAC and total offense, but they're in the middle of the pack in defense. They're giving up 30 yards. They're gaining 30 points a game, but they're giving up 30 points a game. So their defense is going to have to step up because they're playing a team that's averaging 33 points a game and not giving up a heck of a lot on defense. So if anything, their defense is going to have to play at the top of their game plus some.
Good stuff. Wilton, where are you going with this matchup? Can Kentucky State get the upset?
I don't think they get the upset. I think they keep it close, but I think it's going to be too much of Noah Biden and Edward Waters. They, like you said, they're coming off of a bye week. They get a chance to get that extra week to prepare. I think they get this game. But I do think if Kentucky State attempts to get this win, they will definitely have to limit the turnovers and really play sound defense and containing Noah Biden in this game.
Yeah.
Great breakdown. Charles, it's a long road trip for Edward Waters coming out of Florida, going all the way up to Kentucky now.
Long road trip for Edward Waters, but I think they get it done. Normally when we think of Edward Waters, we think of Noah Biden and them throwing the ball around. But they got the number 2 rushing attack, or I should say number 2 rusher in the SIAC and John Terrius Thomas. So I think, a good balance of run and pass. I think Edward Waters gets past Kentucky State in this one.
So you believe in Coach Jenkins?
I do.
Coach offensive coordinator, Coach Dooley, and Noah Biden. Makes sense. I understand. Let's get to the next one. Number 3, top 10 matchup. This is where it really gets good. The rest of them will kind of float through, but this is another one I want each of you to break down. It's a top 10 matchup. Virginia Union, to me, they're rolling. They're 3-1, 1-0. In a lot of ways, they've been angry since they went to Florida and got that loss. Winston-Salem State has a chance to make a statement, stay in the race. If not, it's pretty difficult. Charles, where are you with this matchup?
I had Virginia Union at Elizabeth City State this week. Am I off?
Did I mess that up?
Yeah.
No.
It should be Elizabeth City State.
Yeah, Elizabeth City State.
Still a interesting matchup there. We'll keep it rolling. Virginia Union, Elizabeth City has been struggling, so Virginia Union shouldn't have a problem. Let's go to our next match.
They shouldn't, but Elizabeth City.
Go ahead, speak on it. You want to say so?
Hey, they done played a couple teams tough. They played Johnson C. Smith close. They played Hampton close.
Hampton close, you're right.
Fayetteville State, who should be at 7. But yet still, they're coming off a victory and they're playing at home. But I go Virginia Union. I mean, I know Curtis Allen might get 30 some odd carries.
That was pretty sick. Clark Atlanta Panthers. Clark Atlanta Rat Poison. They struggle a little bit over there. I love my coach. Clark Atlanta 2-3, 1-2. It's certainly a chance. It's on the road, so it's a little hard. They got the victory last year. Number 5, Auburn State go to Rams 4-1, 3-0. Anybody see Panthers getting upset?
Negative.
No.
Nope, not this year.
We'll keep it moving. Yeah, I try to give them a little love from my Panther. You know how I feel about my Clark. I'm trying to get them get some wins so they can go ahead and put the paperwork in to move FCS and join the swag. Along with Tennessee State, but that's a whole different discussion. 7th versus 8. Livingston Blueberries at Fayetteville State Broncos. Where are y'all with this matchup? This is an important one. 3-0 and 3-1, so you got to find a way to stay in the race. Blueberries, Broncos. We can talk about the top team.
Mike said it earlier. Mike said it earlier. He thinks Fayetteville should be in, and he has a very valid argument with the fact that Fayetteville should be in. So we can stop all the talking, Mike. It's gonna happen Saturday. We gonna know who's in. We gonna know who's out. Come about 5 o'clock Saturday. It's that simple.
And that's exactly why I said
I'm gonna go to you, Mike. Go ahead.
In the next couple of weeks.
Finish it. Go ahead and get your thoughts, Mike. Give me a little more.
No, I said if these were two fighters and you would say pound for pound, who's the best? And you're looking straight at statistics, you would think really that Fayetteville has a puncher's chance. And where am I going with that? I'm looking at how much offense they're trying to do a relative comparison, their strength of schedule to Livingstone. It's hard to do with the scheduling that they have, but I picked Fayetteville State. They're home in this one, so I picked them out. I picked them to win. They have a better performing offense statistically right now through week 5 than Livingstone. They're putting up a few more points. So I got to give Fayetteville State the edge on this one.
Good stuff, Mike. Wilton Jackson II, where are you with this matchup?
Doc, I'm going with Fayetteville State. You're talking about, Mike kind of alluded to it. They've been balanced on offense, specifically with their running backs and their weapons along the perimeter in terms of their wide receivers. So if you're Fayetteville State, as long as they establish a form of physicality and running the ball and really controlling the clock and limiting Livingstone's big plays, I think they get the win. I think they get the win.
I get it. Charles, this is a chance for Fayetteville State Broncos to kind of get back to their winning ways of the last year. Going into the season, we talked about Fayetteville State making that statement. It fell early, but it looks like they're back doing what they do. Can this be their magical run? Will they get the chance to get back to the top of the conference, at least play for a championship? And if they get into it, maybe they can finally change course of direction and take home the trophy. Where are you with this matchup?
Yeah, I think Fayetteville State, they keep rolling. I have a great win on the road last week at Bowie State, and I look forward to Damari Daniels in terms of what he's been able to do, both running and pass, and continue to keep things going for the Broncos. So I got the Broncos at home in this one.
Good stuff by all of you gentlemen. Appreciate your time tonight. Because I'm on the road, but we found a way to continue to bring it to you. For the listeners, apologize a little bit about the challenge we had with Wi-Fi. But as we try to bring it to you on the road, you know how that goes. This one is the last one. That's number 9, West Virginia State. Yellow Jackets 3-2, 2-1. they certainly should have a chance to get it right and get back to the winning ways. We'll see if it's enough to get them back into the hunt. These gentlemen are not believing in the Yellow Jackets, but they do play Concord Mountain Lions, and this is the one where we actually have Winston-Salem State. They're at number 10. You'll see that they'll probably get back to winning ways, but Stephen A. Will certainly be upset if they don't get it done against the Shaw Bears, 1-4, 1-2. But with that being said, let's call it a show. I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share your podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be back on Thursday with the show, and on Sunday at 9 a.m., where we'll get to break down at least the game of the week, if not more, on Sunday, and we'll see whether Charles continues to smile, Wilton as well. Does Mike have something to say? You know, Drew will be here giving an update. We'll look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. That will be Thursday. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Charles, you know how to. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Wilton, Charles, don't have too much fun in Jackson. You know, I'm still looking at my calendar. I find a way to purchase a ticket. So, Charles, don't get mad if I call you and take a detour. Pick me up at the airport.
I got you.
Yeah, so, appreciate it.
I'm hosting a lot of people this weekend.
He just put it on the list. Hey, tell him Mike. Mike taught me well. Big brother Mike told me. He said, "Hey, boy, you better learn how to travel and show up. You put
That's
on
right.
Represent. Mike can make sure you know what you're doing." With that being said, Green Big, continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Big brother Mike. Wilton. Drew.
Dismiss,
y'all.
Why you gotta pause and wait and come out on your own? That sound with your sexual voice.
I was trying to wait. I was trying to wait on Edwin. Edwin just put it in the chat. I was trying to wait on Edwin. It's officially, class is officially over.
Get it right.
Edward Moore said course dismissed.
You know what?
We all come together. You pulling your Barry White sexual voice.
Shout out to the live listeners with the dismiss. They got it right for
Jackson State stay in these game of the decade games. I don't know what that's about.